Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. So we're going to continue with our chapter 4, and in this part we're going to learn all about the microorganisms that are present in the air. So do you ever wonder why you got sick, why you did, and when we are sick we don't get enough sleep, or maybe when we prepare the food we are not really taking into account the hygiene. Okay, so this is just a joke lah, because the answer is probably blowing in the wind. So blowing in the wind is by the Bob Dylan. I don't know if you know Bob Dylan or not. Okay, so air is in the gaseous form in all earth, and air is the mixture of this. Okay, so we can see that the highest percentage is in the nitrogen, and then followed by the oxygen, and then the argon gas, the carbon dioxide, and the water vapor is only 1%, and a very small amount of other gases. Air is not a good medium for the microorganisms because air is just a gas. Okay, it doesn't have any nutrient or any moisture, and we know that the growth of the microorganisms, they need all those. So air is not a good medium, okay, to grow the microorganisms, but the air can be a good transporter for the microorganism. So the major source of microorganisms in air we can see in the lands and also in the water. Okay, so for the land, yeah, so the wind will take all the dust from the land or from the soil, and we know that from the soil we have a lot of microorganisms. And when the wind blow the dust into the air, then the microorganism will be in the air as well. And this is for water. So the water, we know that the water, it has a lot of microorganisms as well in there, and the water, any types of water, for example, air longkang ke, air lake ke, ocean ke, rivers ke, okay, so they have a lot of microorganisms. But we have to remember microorganisms, we have the good microorganisms and we have the bad microorganisms. Besides that, human is also a source of microorganisms in the air. When we sneeze, when we cough, and when we talk, basically. So we will project all the microorganisms into the air. Animal do sneeze as well, so that animal do sneeze, then the microorganisms will be released into the air as well. Okay, so if any of you have any cat ke sebagai pet ke kan, ataupun you have dogs as a pet, and then we will realize that they do sneeze, and we know that from their sneeze they release a lot of microorganism in there. So let's see, there are 3 factors that affect the transport of the microorganism. So the first one is the atmosphere. So the atmosphere, the microbes will follow the movement in the atmosphere. Okay, so the microbes, it can come from the human ke, animal ke, ataupun mana-mana plants ataupun vegetation. Okay, and then they will be transported lah, diikut human tu pergi ke mana-mana, and then dia pergi ikut animals tu pergi ke mana-mana. Okay, and then those atmosphere tu kan ada yang extreme atmosphere, ada yang not so extreme atmosphere kan. So there are few types of microorganisms that can survive in those environments, especially which are the extreme environments. Then we know that, okay, so these type of microorganisms, they are the extremophiles because they can survive in the extreme environments. Second factor is the clouds. So clouds, we know that it moves kan, from one place to another place, and then dia akan jadi hujan apa semua. So basically, clouds, it can be a source of transport for the microorganisms. And there is a term which is this one, bioprecipitation, where the microbes, they can travel long distance in the cloud. Okay, so dia ada kisah yang mana this one, rain producer bacteria, because that bacteria was spotted in Antarctica, but then because it was in the cloud, and then the cloud to move from the Antarctica to France, and then dia pour the rain dekat France, then the bacteria tu dia muncul dekat France pula. Then the third factor is the physical environment stress. So the physical environment stress ni dia ada pelbagai environmental condition lah, in terms of the desiccation, humidity, temperature, and also the radiation. So it shows that these factors, they influence the microbial growth and also the microbial survival dekat tempat-tempat ni. So for example, E. coli, Escherichia E. coli, they can survive up dekat 0.5 degrees Celsius. So this is a very low temperature, kan, psychophiles. And they need over the range of 45 to 100% relative humidity. So kalau those places yang dia landed, E. coli landed, and then it is in the optimum condition of this E. coli, then they can survive. If not, they will die. So let's see the sources of microorganisms, and we're going to focus on these two only, the human beings as the source of microorganisms and also the built environment. So human beings, we can be the source of microorganisms through sneezing and also coughing. These are among others lah, banyak lagi cara lagi. Okay, built environment through the dust, okay, and also through the farm animal. Okay, let's see the droplet. Droplet ni human droplet, from the sneezing, from the coughing. So dia sebenarnya memang it has a lot of microorganisms. Those microorganisms, whether they are pathogenic ataupun non-pathogenic. So that's why when you sneeze or when you cough, you are recommended to cover your mouth. But right now, because we are living in the pandemic COVID-19, so everyone must wear mask. So that's a very good idea lah, kan, because bila you sneeze or you cough, then you akan cover your mouth. For example, Pseudomonas aeruginosa ni, okay, so dia quite a dangerous bacteria jugalah. So dia can still hang around for 45 minutes after. So for example kan, kita pergi ke suatu tempat, dekat lift lah, for example, dia masuk dekat dalam lift kan tempat tertutup kan, and then orang tu batuk, sneeze or cough, and then he or she is not wearing any mask. So dia punya projection dia tu of the microorganisms can linger around in the lift for another 45 minutes, especially when the microorganisms tu involved with Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Jadi within 45 minutes tu, and then we enter the lift to go to any floors, then if we tak mengambil langkah-langkah keselamatan, so na'udzubillah lah, mungkin kita pun terdapat. Okay, so from the farm animals. So the release of airborne microorganisms from the farm animal to the outdoor environment may present significant risk to human health. So we know that memang farm animals ataupun mana-mana animals pun lah, they have a lot of microorganisms in there as well. Okay, even our pet pun. So that's why kalau kita punya pet tu, we have to take care of them. Mandikan, ada cara mandikan, and then ada cara nak kena bagi vaksin for this, for that, and then if nampak dia sakit, bawa pergi jumpa vet cepat-cepat. Okay, because we are living with that animal kan. Jadi kalau animal tu kita tak jaga dia, and we know that they themselves, they have a lot of microorganisms tu, we are exposed lah to that deadly microorganisms. Dust. So dust ni is something that when they are little, we can't really see them, but when they are a lot, then baru kita boleh nampak. kan. So dust ni especially dekat dalam rumah lah, memang macam teruk betul. So dust ni it can sometimes macam bagi orang allergy. So if you have any friends kan yang macam masuk rumah lepas tu tiba-tiba je dia bersin kan, so maksudnya dia allergy kepada dust kan, dan dia memang tahulah I'm allergic to dust. Tapi sebenarnya bagi orang yang tak allergic, dia akan tengok rumah ni macam biasa je, tak ada pun apa-apa kan, because we can't really see the dust. Tapi orang yang allergic is very sensitive to the presence of the dust. Types of microbes. Okay, so dan ini kita tengok especially in the air sahajalah, because this part is for the types of for the microbes in the air. So there are several types of microbes that we can find in the air. So first we can see the bacteria lah. Okay, bacteria paling common, paling senang nak jumpa. And then protozoa. Okay, so protozoa ni memang the largest group of the organisms, and kalau bacteria tadi is the prokaryote and the protozoa is the eukaryote. Microalgae. So microalgae ni memang banyaklah dekat dalam air, dekat dalam water. Okay, tapi now we're talking about the air, and usually microalgae ni memang selalu akan beri kita allergies and also respiratory disease. And also microfungi. Okay, lagilah menakutkan, because fungi ni we know that we are dealing with spores, and spores ni memang senang lah nak ditransportkan through the air. Okay, then let's see the impact of the airborne microbes ni. Now we already know kan apa benda microbes in the air, the types, from where, the sources, the factors kan. Now let's see the impact of the airborne microbes in terms of the crop plant disease and also the human disease. Okay, so kalau for crop plant disease, the pathogenic microbes, okay, when we talk about pathogenic microbes, so it means that the microorganisms that can cause disease, right? So for example, usually fungi lah, and fungi ni we know kan, they have spores. So spores tu is very scary lah, because we can't really see them, and they are very light and they can be travelled through the air very easily. And these are the transporter, kereta-kereta dia, from wind, dew, rain. Memang spore from the fungi ni memang senang to be carried away, to be to travel. These are the examples, disease by the pathogenic microorganisms: rice blight, psoriasis, citrus, and these are the microorganisms that are responsible in causing the disease of the rice blight and also the psoriasis of the citrus plant. Okay, now we'll see the human disease. Okay, so in the next few slides ni memang agak insaf lah bila tengok there are a lot of diseases caused by the bacterial and also viral and also fungal airborne diseases. Okay, so I really hope after this chapter ni kita semua insaf lah mengenai hygiene. Okay, especially when we are in the pandemic COVID-19 ni, we know that the hygiene tu is very important. Okay, so let's see the bacterial dulu. Okay, bacterial airborne disease. It means that the diseases happen in human, caused by the bacteria in the air. Okay, so tuberculosis. Alright, so tuberculosis ni dia punya simptom dia ni lah, yang batuk-batuk semua tu, it is caused by the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and dia batuk, lepas tu malam dia rasa dia berpeluh-peluh kan, sedangkan mungkin sejuk masa aircon ke apa dia akan peluh-peluh. Tetapi usually tuberculosis ni memang the common symptom is cough and sneeze. Okay, second bacterial airborne disease is diphtheria. So diphtheria ni usually dia kepada budak-budak, tetapi adults can have as well. Okay, so it is caused by the Corynebacterium diphtheria. Okay, so from nama dia itself pun, that's why kita bagi nama disease tu diphtheria. So dia selalunya akan ada ni dekat throat ni, nampak ni, dia macam ada something benda melekat lah dekat throat, dekat atas tu. And because of that, because of the bacterial infection kat situ tu, memang the patient tu will have difficulty to breathe. Okay, smallpox. So smallpox ni is viral. Okay, it's no longer bacteria. It is caused by the variola major or variola minor virus. Okay. So kita boleh tahulah dia punya simptom dia tu reddish rashes dengan fluid blister. Dia macam timbul kan smallpox. So itulah yang bahaya. Jadi kalau memang viral ni kan is very easy kan to to travel to infect other people. So that's why bila person tu ada smallpox, especially budak ke apa, memang kena quarantine kat rumah. Okay, influenza. So influenza viral juga by the influenza virus. Okay, so macam-macam lah virus yang boleh cause the influenza. So rasanya kita semua tu memang pernah lah dapat influenza. Dapat dia punya simptom dia. Kita dapat flu, fever, and this is very common lah. Okay, now let's see fungal pula, caused by fungal. Cryptococcosis. Cryptococcosis, okay, caused by the Cryptococcus neoformans and also Cryptococcus gutti. Okay, so it is acquired by the inhalation of the infectious propagule from the environment. So daripada sini kalau kita tengok simptom dia macam ingatkan kita demam biasa, ingatkan kita flu biasa kan, tapi sebenarnya it is a fungal. Okay, so that's why tak kisahlah you sakit banyak mana, you sakit sikit mana, go and see doctor and tell the doctor your symptoms, what you really feel about. Kan macam apa time tu yang tengah rasa sakit badan ke apa, you have to tell the doctor so that doctor can make a good diagnosis out of your disease, of your condition. Okay, fungal is histoplasmosis caused by the Histoplasma capsulatum, acquired by the inhalation histoplasma fungal spores that can be found in soil and droppings of birds or bats. Okay. So this is very important lah because dia fungal, lepas tu spore kan. Jadi memang is very scary. And then dia dekat dalam soil. And then also droppings of the birds or the bats. Ini bahaya ni sebab kita bila orang biodi ni kan banyak lah. Especially when you are dealing with soil and then when you do observation of birds ke bats ke kan. Jadi dia punya droppings itu very bahaya. So if you go for the field work ke apa kan yang memang involved with the soil, birds or bats, and then after that you ada symptom-symptom macam ni, please go to see doctor. So ways to control. Now we have come to how to overcome this solution kan. Macam mana kita ni supaya tidak being infected by the microbes in the air. Okay, let's see the physical technique and also the chemical technique. So physical technique, okay, how to control the dust. Jadi macam-macam cara. We can use the vacuum. Usually kalau kat rumah we're talking about rumah, and then we can use the vacuum, we can sapu sampah, okay, but usually vacuum dengan sweeping the floor, usually vacuum is the most efficient lah, because when we sweep the floor, dust itu akan naik juga ke atas kan, and then whatever remain dekat dalam floor tu, okay, kita sapu and then we thought that it's okay, but then the one yang dia naik ke atas tu nanti lama-lama dia akan jatuh ke bawah juga. So maybe in 2 hours time and then you will see, alah kenapa macam berabuk balik rumah ni, macam tu lah. Okay, use of oiling floors and also the use of bedcloth. Okay, so these are the examples that we can do to control the dust in our house. Ultraviolet radiation. Okay, so dia sebenarnya term ni ultraviolet radiation, ultraviolet germicidal lights. So in ada few places lah, kalau dekat dalam bilik tu dia memang install kan ultraviolet germicidal lights ni supaya dia akan pancarkan dia punya UV dia tu, and then it will kill all the microbes in that room. Laminar airflow. Okay, so laminar airflow ni memang yang the one we can find in the lab. So any microbial work that we have to do, please do it in the laminar airflow. Now, chemical techniques. So, chemical techniques ni maksudnya kita menggunakan all those chemicals lah. Okay, so contoh-contohnya chemicals yang macam ni. So, this is the process lah. Sterilization, disinfection, sanitizer, antiseptic, decontamination. So, these are all using the chemicals to control the microorganisms, to inhibit the growth, to kill the microorganisms. Okay. So these are the acknowledgements. So, these are some of the students that helped me with the content for this chapter or for this part. And that's all. Thank you, everyone.